A beautiful good day and a warm welcome to a new edition of Simply Electric. Yes, we have the new test model from Great Wall Motors, the WEY05, connected here at the CCS because we're going to charge the battery to 100% to check the pure electric range with you. Factory specification, manufacturer's data are up to 98 miles, and we want to see, does it really achieve that even with us here through the Mecklenburg Lake District? I'd say in everyday operation. Then let's do the charging check. Examine the CCS connection to see if it can be quickly recharged temporarily on long journeys. And we aim to do a third mixed drive with 130 km/h on the highway through rural and urban traffic to see what the electric consumption is like. I would say before we actually take off, please do check again. In the Drive Electric community or not, we'd be happy if you'd support us with a subscription. And now let's get started with the WEY05 and the range test. Before we get started, I have one last request for you. We have the opportunity to translate our videos into English with WAI and have established a second channel for this purpose. It's called Simply Electric. We'd be thrilled if you could support us there by subscribing as well. I've put the link to Simply Electric in the video description for you. We got into the car, my friend, in order to discuss and decide on the starting point with you. The WEY05, as of now, currently has a total of 1854 kilometers on it. Today we have 14 degrees, cloudy skies, but slightly sunny, and the battery is, as you can see here, charged to 100%. The total range with both the gasoline tank and electric battery is about 673 kilometers, with the distance on electric power closer to 149 kilometers respectively. We're going to start off purely electric now and drive across the countryside here until the battery's dead. And we'll continue to give you updates regularly then by tracking the miles driven carefully. Here, the KWH 100 kilometer consumption is displayed. Naturally, we're super eager to see if we can achieve the manufacturer's claim on the website of up to 158 kilometers. We've got two electric motors on board, one on the front axle, one on the rear axle, each driving the corresponding axle. Up front, we have 163 horsepower, and at the back, 184 horsepower. Plus, there's a battery with 39.67 kilowatt hours gross, of which 33.71 kilowatt hours are usable net. And now, let's see how far we can actually get with the 33.71 kilowatt hours. We've initiated our expedition right here on the B96. From Neustrelitz, initially heading to New Brandenburg, then pushing forward to Demmin. And then, I believe we're going to cruise somewhere towards Anklam, right, Stefan?
Exactly.
Because the primary goal, after all, is to see just how quickly and efficiently it can recharge the battery at the HPC fast charging station later on. Oh, what I forgot to mention was the tires. Stefan, what do we have there, actually?
Saddle wheels, large 21-inch tires, 265s.
Nice, big tires. Let's thoroughly check out if they significantly increase or perhaps notably decrease the vehicle's driving range. We're also mega excited and incredibly curious to see just what the Wey can possibly do. We've already introduced him to you in a detailed review, covering everything from the driving experience, interior, exterior, all the technical specifications to the pricing. So, feel free to check out the video. I'll link it for you in the video description. We've already covered the initial 17 kilometers, Stefan. And now look, when I go ahead and calculate this, it really does show some incredibly quite dangerous values. Look, the battery is at 90%, so we've lost 10% of battery capacity, but have driven 17.6 kilometers. That means if we multiply that by a factor of 10, we could actually cover more than 170 kilometers. Do you think that's realistic?
Oh, I can hardly believe it myself.
It certainly remains thrilling. We are exceptionally eager to give you a brand new update. We've now driven 36 kilometers, and astonishingly, we still have 80% of the battery left. If we simply go ahead and carefully extrapolate that particular fact, then we are currently looking at an electric range of almost exactly 180 kilometers, Stefan.
Yes, I truly think that this could very well begin to work out effectively.
Since the start of 2024, the groundbreaking WEY05 model, designed by Great Wall Motors, was officially released for purchase in the vast German market. It is offered in two display versions. One as what you might call the premium, starting at just over 59,000 euros, or like the one we have, in the luxury configuration, starting from just over 63,000 euros. Then you truly get the full package of features. That means heated seats, ventilated seats, seat massage, large panorama, glass sunroof, augmented reality, head-up display, Apple CarPlay, wireless, and I believe Android Auto too. So there's really not much left to wish for, Stefan, right? Yeah.
It's totally packed.
What's more, I do believe it's always one of, 5 different colors. Metal finish, got it. Oh, very beautiful in white metallic. Particularly in the sun, it seems to almost sparkle like a precious South Sea pearl, I would say.
Like so about.
And what I particularly like about Wey is that they have really good financial partners by their side, offering very, very attractive and exceptionally favorable leasing and financing conditions. And this statement indeed includes every single commercial and also private users alike without exception. Because for commercial users, I think a WEY05 with a large battery and tank and a long range, especially if you're often on the move traveling, isn't too bad at all.
So here you can fit a lot. Plenty of space.
And, as always, I firmly do believe there's also that small 0.5% taxation for business owners on company cars. So, that too, I truly believe, without any doubt, would significantly increase the appeal even further indeed. Yes, we've already got half of Mecklenburg on board, right, Stefan?
Yes, certainly feels so, yes.
Yes, indeed. In total, it's over 100 kilometers, 101 kilometers to be exactly precise, and we still have a substantial 42% of the battery power left. It also clearly displays a total of 66 kilometers of electric range still remaining, so you really have to say it is doing that very steadily indeed.
Yes, it maintains that well.
Besides hitting a few 80 zones here, we've mostly stuck to 100 where allowed. We've consistently followed the long-established road rules, you might say.
As we always do.
Exactly. You know what I don't get?
Well?
Check out the onboard computer here, by the way. Look, it's displaying 4.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That means it could almost go 1,000 kilometers, the electric one.
That would be outstanding. Then we wouldn't even need purely electric cars. The hybrids would be enough.
Exactly. We still have 25% of the battery power left, but we have already driven a total of 126 kilometers. Cool. So, that means we should probably make the 158 kilometers of electric range, right? What do you think? Yes.
Easy. By now, I'm totally convinced.
We've recently received an unexpected surprise from the onboard system while traveling on the WEY05 route. It autonomously shifted from electric vehicle mode to the standard driving mode due to the battery level being too low. Let's take a look at it on the display here. So it's showing a 12% battery level. We have now driven a total of 144.4 kilometers, and I strongly believe that we are just about to probably soon be switching on the combustion engine. But of course we're trying our best and we'll keep you updated as soon as the engine kicks in, and then we'll check once more how long it actually ran on electric power. The engine is currently running at a speed of 2000 RPM, as clearly observed on the tachometer display, and we review the miles we managed to cover purely on electric power, 149.6 kilometers. We still have a good 9% left in the battery, and quite interestingly, it also indicates a remaining battery range of 16 kilometers. I didn't quite get why it's now turning on the combustion engine.
That kind of comes as a bit of a surprise now.
Yes, we can, of course, take another look at the vehicle settings then. And we do have the individual drive modes right here in the driving section. He had already switched over to the normal mode a bit earlier, so now we can attempt to engage the EV mode now, but unfortunately it simply won't work at this current point in time. But even these good 149 kilometers truly present a rather decent value, right? Absolutely. Yeah. We're at an outside temperature of 11 degrees. It has also been raining on and off in between. So I'm actually satisfied with the result for now, right?
Yes, if it holds up. Every time 150 kilometers on just electric.
Because don't forget one vital point. We are actively moving forward in life. What's seen as our normal daily routine, so to speak. And these are not actually lab values or anything like that, but in principle we are driving a vehicle. In real life, as an average consumer essentially. Of course, we do have a trained electric throttle foot, since we've been driving electric for a long time and have also used the recuperation at its strongest level here to regain energy, indeed. Yes, it also very beautifully and comprehensively displays this once again in an extensive menu where you can review and analyze the last 100 kilometers in detail. Yes, what energy did it effectively use? What energy did it manage to recover? And of course, there's also the increased fuel consumption to consider because the combustion engine has kicked in. We're driving on the venerable 96, Stefan just said. That's why there's this beautiful avenue and cobblestones here. You probably came here by stagecoach before, right?
Right on the Cottbusser stagecoach.
Lovely. Yes, we tried to outsmart the WEY05 again, essentially turning off the car with the start-stop function, then turning it back on, and then attempted to activate the EV mode again. But nothing we've tried so far has had any effect at all. It clearly indicates a very weak battery. And essentially, it does not really permit or allow for any form of electric driving, unfortunately, at all. Here we can do whatever we truly wish, press in any way that we please. Displayed here again, low battery, EV mode is currently unavailable. You know what's great about a plug-in hybrid?
Yes, we can easily and smoothly cruise down the highway.
Yes, cruising nicely at 200 here, tops at 230. But if you're out of battery, you can still keep going, right? Yes.
And just won't stall, that's pretty nice.
Prerequisite? You've got enough gas in the tank?
Exactly.
One feature I'm not particularly fond of, feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments section, is the charging function. So you can actually switch to the charge mode right here at this point. This means essentially the engine also serves very effectively to recharge the battery system. This will likely lead to a noticeable increase in consumption because, of course, we must expend significantly more energy not just to maintain the vehicle running smoothly, but also to ensure the battery pack is charged efficiently and effectively for optimal performance. One might have thought, knowing that we're heading into an urban zone and want to drive electrically there, the idea is to not pollute the urban area with exhaust fumes. But if we pollute the air before that, only to drive electrically again, that's kind of a bad exchange, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Especially in Mecklenburg, where we have a lot of wind energy, where we generate a lot of solar power. It really doesn't make much sense because we actually have more or less, when there's wind and sun, also enough energy to charge batteries. Absolutely. We have now arrived at our very favorite electric vehicle charging station at Ionity at the Minerland rest area. Because the great thing is, if we take a break now, Stefan and I need to take a leak after driving 150 kilometers on electric power. And yeah, it's been like 2 hours in the car, right? Yes, currently, fortunately. And luckily, here at WEY05, we also have a CCS connector on board. That means whenever you're on a long trip, you'll have the chance. Then, when you're taking a pee break, a coffee break, lunch, coffee, cake, dinner, and then, quite incidentally, also engaging in the process of recharging the battery. And we really aim to test with you to see how long it will indeed take from the current state of the battery level. Let's just check once again what exactly we have, 3%. Back up to a full 100%. The WEY05 has developed a quite impressively nice charging speed. We plugged it in when it was at 3%. It then ramped up to 43 kilo. It's been plugged in for a minute now. And when we make the decision to charge up our vehicle here, we're typically using the free miles we've accumulated from the InCharge system. That means InCharge is available as an application. InCharge is accessible on the web, where you have the option to reward your purchases, for instance, through affiliate links with free miles. You also have the option to rate such charging stations. And that's how you collect through online purchases, through ratings, free miles. We've already managed to charge over 34,000 kilometers for free that way. And if that interests you, feel free to check out the video description. I've dropped a link to InCharge there for you. And now look, Stefan, check this out, 54 kilo. We've nicely surpassed the factory's 50 kilo already at 7% state of charge. I hope within half to 3/4 of an hour, the battery will be fully charged again, right? Your guess? Yes.
We'll do that easily.
The charging opportunity is also the perfect chance to take another look at the WEY05 from the outside, just to get a bit of perspective. And I have to say, it really has a very, very beautiful European design, in my personal opinion. It lacks those distinctly unique Asian peculiarities that many vehicles originating from Asia typically tend to have. Especially here with the chrome grille, it looks really classy. We've also equipped it with LED headlights and LED daytime running lights, which then create a matrix-like illumination of the road, meaning they can brighten and dim individual areas. You're seeing here, in my personal opinion, the exceptionally well-done 21-inch rims on the 265 tires. glossy black with partially high gloss polished, I truly think looks really good indeed. And otherwise, we have got ourselves an SUV that's exactly 4.87 meters long and it weighs a good 2.4 tons. And in the rear section, as you've surely seen in the review and the driving report, it also offers plenty of space. Back here, it slopes down a bit like a coupe, which, as you know, is kind of a trend. But it certainly sometimes has the downside that you might possibly lose a bit of trunk space. Yes, the rear section is quite a treat too. No attempts at an Asian-inspired design here, but instead they've essentially gone for leaned towards classic conservative values. Very nice here with the LED taillights, a lovely rear spoiler in my opinion, and a very well executed third brake light. Unfortunately, there's a shark fin above it, which I think could have perhaps been spared. The only thing perhaps for a future facelift could be to hide the wiper up here in the rear spoiler, then it would nicely continue flat down here. But of course, every manufacturer has their very own ways. Yes, it has an electric tailgate too. To open it up, first and foremost, of course, we absolutely have to unlock the vehicle. And then you're essentially unlocking 500 liters of storage space, which you can then beautifully expand by folding down the rear seats in a 20-40-40 split, thus completely increasing the overall capacity. You can also fold down just the middle section for skis or any long item, thereby expanding the luggage capacity from 500 liters to over 1200 liters accordingly. Yes, let me just quickly close up this small flap, because you see we have the option to then also mount the perfectly appropriate roof rack over the roof rails right here. I guess the nose weight will be 75 kilograms. And optionally you can also get a trailer hitch, and this trailer hitch can tow up to 750 kilograms with unbraked trailers. And for brake trailers, I think it was 2 tons, Stefan?
2 tons, exactly.
That's, of course, great for those who might want to tow a heavy caravan, horses, or the sports boat. So, the plug-in hybrid offers a lot of possibilities, and so it might be an interesting choice for some starting under 60,000 euros who might not want to go fully electric just yet. 6 minutes in, we've already recharged 5 kilowatt hours. It's still charging at 54 kilowatts, which I think is really great. We've already got 18% in the battery. I hope it keeps going like this, because that's the brilliant part. When we're embarking on the long haul, driving a hybrid vehicle, we also have the unique chance during our breaks to efficiently regain some electric energy. And that with 54 kilowatt is quite a decent figure. After 22 minutes, we've recharged a good 19 kilowatts, almost half the battery, and now we've gone from 3% to 54%. It's still charging consistently, even now with a power of 53 kilowatt, and honestly, that's actually really good for plug-in hybrids. Get a fast charging port, especially when they have such large batteries, so you can really use the battery, and not like the rumors about many plug-in hybrids, where unfortunately the users then don't even use the charging cable. I firmly believe you can operate both in hybrid mode, which we'll further explore in a third video on the long haul, where we aim to cover over 1,200 kilometers with the WEY05 together with you. What's the combined consumption? And especially in day-to-day life, when you're just driving short distances to work, to the daycare, to school, or simply out to do some shopping and various errands, then you're actually running on electric power only. And then perhaps the plug-in hybrid might become an interesting option for some. Stefan, your view?
I think that too. Especially for those who still don't dare to make the full transition to electromobility.
I don't get it though, because we now have such great electric cars, but ultimately all must decide how they move forward. 55 minutes, 36.6 kilowatt hours have been recharged. It's still charging at 7 kilowatt. We've got 99% in the battery. So, you see, you really have to bring a good bit of time along with you. But of course, it also somewhat depends on the battery size, and this technology that's installed in the WEY05, I believe, for a plug-in hybrid vehicle, that's actually completely fine. Such a lovely breeze in the Viennese country, right?
Hey man, it's bad here. You can come over if you want.
I turned on the seat heating, got a nice lumbar massage going, because we're about to drive a good 69-70 kilometers back to Neustrelitz. You see this? We've managed to charge up significantly once more, now standing at 99%, giving us about 149 kilometers of electric range available to us. And of course, we want to see if we drive on the highway for about plus or minus 30 kilometers. At 130 kilometer H, which is quite a load on the battery for such a plug-in hybrid, weighing 2.4 tons and with a bit of wind. how the consumption develops, and then of course we'll also drive through the countryside. We're driving through Neubrandenburg, through the villages, so it's going to be interesting with what percentage of battery will arrive in Neustrelitz. And from the net capacity, we can then also calculate the consumption. We have reached our designated highway exit after covering a distance of precisely 30.9 kilometers, and subsequently, the battery level has experienced a drop from 99% down all the way to 65%. If I roughly calculate that based on the 33.67 kilowatt hours, we're looking at nearly a consumption of 40 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers.
That is actually quite a lot of floors there.
Our subject owns a large SUV weighing 2.4 tons. This vehicle, due to its significant mass, exhibits a higher air resistance compared to lighter, more aerodynamic vehicles. Further examination shows this isn't an isolated occurrence but a common trait among hefty SUVs at 130 km/h average speed, but they'd have a decent consumption, right? I clearly remember the Q8 Audi e-tron model, for instance, right? Yeah.
Indeed, there's really quite a lot to it, you see.
Yes, we're now driving cross-country the remaining good 30-40 kilometers to Neustrelitz and through the city of Neubrandenburg, through the villages by the country road. And right there, we're eager to see just how far the battery will realistically take us in total distance. We're now at exactly 65%, but I'm very optimistic we can successfully make it to Neustrelitz on electric power alone. Arrived in the town of Neustrelitz, covering a distance of 67.4 kilometers with 44% of the battery power still remaining. And Stefan, on the side, since he can operate the camera and the phone, has already calculated the consumption for you. Stefan, what's it?
Yes, the total consumption for the distance is 27.67.
So that means this is the consumption, if you will, in a, let's call it our third mix, that is 30 kilometers on the highway and then the remaining 47 kilometers over country roads through cities and towns. And that's actually not an extremely economical figure, but consider you're also hauling around combustion engine technology. Here, 2.4 tons, a big fat 4.87 meters SUV. It's actually a solid figure for a plug-in hybrid, isn't it?
I think so too, yes.
Let us now proceed to the second interim conclusion, my friends. We had already presented the initial one to you during our comprehensive review with the detailed test drive report. And today we're focusing on the pure electric performance. And I must say, for a plug-in hybrid, that's quite a statement, isn't it?
Yes, so nearly 150 kilometers, that's good.
If, for instance, we make that comparison with the extensively tested Mercedes GLC model, with the tested Mercedes GLE, or even with the VW Touareg, we have already presented several plug-in hybrids to you on our channel. Then in terms of range, and I think also in terms of consumption, it really sets itself at the top, doesn't it?
Absolutely, as far as the distance was concerned, definitely, yes.
And in terms of price, it's actually the most attractive, around 60K, right?
Definitely that.
So, with that in mind, if a plug-in hybrid of this sort interests you, you should definitely consider maybe taking it for a test drive. But before you do that, please check out our third video where we intend to determine the hybrid consumption. That means we aim to cover over 1,200 kilometers electrically in conjunction with the internal combustion engine in order to, in a certain way, make our very final, comprehensive assessment in the third and ultimate conclusion. And with that, we have now come to the very end of the second video. The third will follow as usual in just a couple of days. And of course, we sincerely hope that you really enjoyed the video. You give it a thumbs up and please do check again if you're part of the Simply Electric community. We'd be happy if you support us with a subscription. And then you definitely won't miss the third part. And as I said, if our videos in English also interest you, feel free to check out the video description. There, I've included a link to our English channel, Simply Electric, for you. I say thanks for watching, stay healthy, see you soon. It's me, Ollie, here. Hey, Stefan, what's up?
What's up?
Do you think, is it actually possible to lower an SUV a bit?
Yes, of course.
So he'd be a bit more...
Seeming more like a formidable bruiser, would you say?
Yes. Absolutely, there'd certainly be a few big, fat... Slippers fit in perfectly cool, right?
There's still some room left.